Hey, each time I post, I donate to an organization. Find out more about them down in the link section.
In a world majorly lacking context and perspective, there stands one amongst the many, Perspective Reports.
He's heating up!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the
Perspective Reports.
show!
Salutations, glad tidings, and good risings, and happy lie-downs, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Perspective Reports show. Perspective Reports is where we break down relevant topics with strategy, analysis, and a little bit of fun. And don't worry, you all get to participate too. Perspective Reports, your world strategized. I should tell a joke here, but the only thing this card says on it is Trump, so yeah. What's the deal with airplane food, am I right? American carriers should do better with their food, though. They could easily contract that out to a food brand with a decent name. You listening? What are we watching in the background? Let's change that to something more suitable, a bit more professional. Love to Eric Andre, though. Ah, yes, the urban landscape. Look at all those monuments to God. I tell you, when I get my chance, it's going to look a little bit different. I am new to posting content on the internet, so we here in 2025 getting it started. I look around and realize change is a constant. But context and critical thinking are helpful mechanisms to navigate that change. In a world full of swift reaction, howdy, we're just going to speed this up here, y'all. And best edited clapbacks. Can you be surprised by opposition when you take a stand? Coexistence is key. I analyze, review, and ponder. We can be curious and hopeful without sacrificing skepticism and standards. Sharpen the body and sharpen the mind. It's about balance. So let's balance this content. Welcome to the Perspective Reports quiz segment. I will ask you 2 questions. One of them will be answered at the end of the video. The other will be on the website so we can increase engagement. In case you haven't been paying attention, I've already put the questions down below, so replay this section and watch it again, and I can't wait to see what your answers are. I can already see people giving away the answers in the comments. Come on. What comments, right? Referencing a previous short-form content we made about the variety of content you can expect to find on Perspective Reports, the next segment is the Way Too Late analysis, which originally this whole video was going to be named and focused on that, but since we decided to make the segments part of the wider show, here we are. So here is the Way Too Late analysis. Grab some refreshments, hold your nose, and let's dive in. And as far as my face goes, I have no reason to hide it. This is just easier to film things for. So, with love, let's do it. When I was young, I considered becoming a priest for a couple of years, which reflects my personal Catholic upbringing. Although pursuing that career is way too late now, it reminds me of a book I loved as a teen called King Dork by former Bay Area punk rocker Frank Portman. In the story, the main character, Tom, also considers becoming a priest in a funny circumstance, but faces challenges because of that. The Way Too Late analysis looks at past decisions and events to understand the current situation and find ways to move forward, much like Tom does. As he reflects on his past to navigate his future, we shall do the same from a strategic perspective.
The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades.
We published a video in early February 2025 where we spoke to an election judge on their experience on the ground, managing voting booths and excited voters. We also dissected the spending, messaging, and rollout of the 2024 campaigns across the board. We will review these insights and add new takes as the final pivot to look ahead to the upcoming 2026 and 2028 elections. And that means that we are going to break down the 3 biggest takeaways from that 2024 election video and then speak to those insights laddering up into the 2026 and 2028 elections. Key highlight number 1, money in politics. It's no secret, money and politics go hand in hand. The recent Wisconsin Supreme Court election on April 1st, 2025 demonstrates this, as it is being called the most expensive judicial election ever, as estimates put the cost and spend of the campaign at $104.5 million, boosted by dark money political action funds. That is 41% of Jared Allen's guaranteed money in his new contract with the Buffalo Bills, and that's over 6 years for him. So this judicial race in Wisconsin costs double Jared Allen's yearly salary, and it was only one election. Where is the FEC when you need them? In our 2024 elections analysis video, we made two key points about money in politics. Point 1, the election campaign industry is huge. In 2024 alone, it amounted to $11 billion spent, about the size of the NBA, which makes $10 billion in revenue annually, or 7.3 times the amount Broadway musicals make annually as well. All that money pays for staff, merchandise, ads, renting venues, equipment, transport, and more, and they say we need to cut government spending. Point 2 is that voter turnout is the deciding key performance indicator in relation to the size of this industry. As the election judge alluded to in our interview,
I was so shocked at the Maryland primary. The turnout was so low, and I tell people, this is a Senate race.
Turnout is generally low for non-presidential election campaigns, but with all the money pouring in from the likes of Elon and super PACs, clearly increasing local participation to influence local political agendas is what is so valuable to both sides. Since 2020, voter turnout is averaging higher than previous decades, and that is no coincidence. The question is, if we have so much money to spend on electing people, where is the money being spent that can actually measurably improve the average citizen's life? Key highlight number 2, messaging. Referencing our 2024 elections video, there was a section where we spoke to the idea of packaging your message so that it can have maximum impact and, in result, carry momentum forward in interest and buzz to your cause. The scenario we discussed was how in October 2024, Kamala Harris held rallies and events in Las Vegas, Nevada, the major city in a key swing state. The problem was, she did a town hall and a city tour in early October, but the crown jewel marketing moment for her in Vegas was being the first person to have an ad on the new Las Vegas Sphere, which happened 20 days later after she left. The full recommendation was to combine the Las Vegas trip into a week-long rally full of events, such as appearances at a Vegas sporting event or working at a casino, among other stunts. And at the end of that week, the Las Vegas Sphere moment would tie it all together, a packaged uniform message that could have been an easy media win if combined with messaging that addresses key issues for local voters, all while still approaching the common person where they are. We can't forget that a key moment for Trump was the working at McDonald's marketing stunt, which combined with his messaging about making policies to help the working class was very effective. Another key messaging moment that we also touched on in our 2024 election video was how at the start of the Harris campaign, she should have had someone create a bubble chart of the largest concerns facing the American public and create a 5 to 10 minute honest video addressing each concern head on. Then that video could be cut into a bunch of different ad placements and put everywhere the first 30 days of the campaign as a statement piece of intent and positioning as a leader who takes problems and concerns head on. Key highlight number 3, entitlement. In a TikTok video posted to our channel in November 2024, we discussed the idea of a local partner program for election campaigns, where a candidate running for a superior office, such as presidential, Senate, House, or governor, would partner with a local rep on a quality of life improvement campaign that can be messaged nationally, if relevant, but also speak to local efforts to make citizen lives better. That leads us to the theme, entitlement. What are we as citizens entitled to from our elected leaders, if you live in a place with free elections anyway? Some would say nice roads, decent schools, services like garbage cleanup, and clean drinking water. Others may say economic access, transportation, or affordable housing, or even healthcare. We pay taxes. What are we getting out of that? In a future series called Getting Local, we want to spotlight things that are of interest to a wider audience that are happening or are affecting a specific location. We out here trying to be like Peter Santinello. Regardless of influence, we want to focus on something that I believe many in the USA have frustration around: sidewalks. Bold statement: the USA has poor sidewalk infrastructure when compared to the relative wealth and municipality budgets available to solve the problem. Sidewalks in American cities, and if they even exist in rural areas, are either too narrow, too old, or end way too soon. I have personal ties to Prince George's County, Maryland, right outside the nation's capital, and that county is an example of underinvestment in sidewalk infrastructure considering the relative wealth and purchasing power of the area. There are entire neighborhoods, parks, schools, and fire stations without sidewalk infrastructure. So to that end, a coming video will explore this topic and how local leaders can help with this. Perspective Reports wants to understand what the people are entitled to and the strategy to get those outcomes. At Perspective Reports, our official position on politics is informed neutrality. We aim to represent diverse opinions and views to create a more informed world. This space serves as a neutral platform for those seeking nuance and insight. Looking ahead to the 2026 and 2028 election cycles, the candidates that employ these strategies will have a better chance at winning because they will have more effective and direct messaging that will actually address the concerns of the American people. Regardless, Perspective Reports will be following along and updating these strategies as these elections come closer. Alrighty then, with all that being said, I want to end with a line from our interview with Carol, an election judge.
For the next 4 years, to really cultivate and develop a sense of hope and optimism, and that we can keep our eyes open and keep them in check. Because again, as long as we decide to tune out and put our head in the sand, they're going to run amok.
Wise words from Carol to play us out. Coming up next on the Way Too Late analysis is net neutrality.
Up next, more Perspective Reports on Nick.
Fantastic.
But first, we have our segment, Random People of History. I love world history, and even though I'm not religious, Eid al-Fitr, the end of Ramadan, was a few days ago. So let's discuss some historical figures that have a connection to Islam. First up is Ibn Battuta, who was a notable 14th century Moroccan scholar and explorer who traveled all over Africa, Western and Eastern Asia, and some parts of Europe. He journeyed about 75,000 miles over 29 years straight. Keep in mind, Marco Polo traveled for 24 years and over a smaller distance. Battuta was motivated by a pilgrimage to Mecca and a thirst for knowledge. His travel book, the Rihla, or its original title, Masterpiece to Those Who Contemplate the Wonders of Cities and the Marvels of Traveling, offers important insights into the diverse societies of the medieval world. Next up is Richard Francis Burton, who was a notable 19th century British explorer, linguist, and writer. He famously disguised himself as a Muslim on a pilgrimage to reach Mecca and Medina, which did not allow non-Muslims. Burton also explored Eastern Africa and became the first European to see Lake Tanganyika, located between Congo and Tanzania. He spoke over 25 languages and was the first to translate works like the Karma Sutra and Arabian Nights into English. His adventures offered valuable knowledge and challenged prevailing European views. His tomb is also a stone army tent. Pretty cool. That was Random People of History.
To net neutrality, which has a lot of us here scratching our heads. Basically, the FCC can now regulate how internet service providers are managing their networks. But what does that really mean?
Net neutrality was a peak 2010s talking point. The idea that your internet will be slowed down or that you won't be able to access certain places previously allowed because you cannot pay. Regardless of how individuals felt about it, the government acted on partisan lines. Democrats tried to defend internet access as a public utility, and many Republicans believed no regulation was needed to allow a better economic landscape for internet service providers, which is mostly Spectrum, AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon. In our video on net neutrality posted in February 2025, we discussed that the internet has characteristics of a common good, something that we all need to function in modern life, and characteristics of a commodity, as access to it is bought and sold for a specific value. How much do you pay for internet? This brings us to the main 3 points of that original video. Point number 1, companies are playing the long game. Companies do not have to make their services better unless they are faced with a customer crisis or their investment has a worthwhile return. But the problem is that it's 2025 and broadband internet is now the standard, but the future of faster internet for now is fiber optic, barring some other breakthroughs. Currently, 60% of the USA get their internet through cable or even DSL. That's not broadband. To get true high-speed internet to the majority of Americans, fiber optic and other tech like satellites or fixed wireless access points needs continuous investment to meet modern standards, with Deloitte, the accounting consulting firm, putting the number needed around $150 billion over the next 6 to 8 years. So, will companies be in a hurry to invest that money? They can afford to, but it would have been easier to get federal funding to get there faster if it was federally regulated, which on January 2025, a circuit court judge ruled that it could not be. Point number 2, the federal government made it a state issue. So that means it is harder to generally regulate, meaning what you get in South Carolina may not be the same quality as in Michigan. Also, the federally funded BEAD program, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, to help the 25 million Americans the Biden administration estimated are without consistent internet access, is being gutted by the current administration in less favor of the proven fiber optic tech for other options like Elon's Starlink, so we can have more space pollution. And while satellites like Starlink are a great option in some cases, it cannot be the majority solution because it is easier to build on the ground than launching stuff into space. Regardless, states like Louisiana, Nevada, and Delaware have improved to 99% high-speed coverage through a combo of mostly fiber optic and some satellite and wired, all through the BEAD program. Under the Biden administration, and other states like North Carolina are fighting to keep the benefits as well. Point number 3, the shrinking internet theory. In our net neutrality video posted in February 2025, we spoke to the idea that the internet is shrinking, meaning most people open up their laptops, phones, or tablets and go to a handful of sites and services. The taming of the Wild West of the internet is upon us, as in less people adventure around the digital landscape, especially when you work on it all day. So we strategized a future service plan where for a higher fee than normal subscriptions, around $230 a month, you will get access to a phone plan, music service, streaming service, meal kits, sports, video games, cloud storage, transport, and more. A platinum package that can see certain services only offered through this format. We estimated in the video if 5% of Comcast Xfinity customers switched to this, it would bring in $4.4 billion annually, versus the actual new 2025 Comcast bundle, which only brings in $1.3 billion at the 5% customer adoption rate. What will happen? We will have to see, but you can bet we will be here discussing it.
I got dead again. This game stinks.
Moments with Alexa. Hey Alexa, want to make a video together?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Moments with Alexa. All right, that's great stuff. Coming up next, guys, we have Diana Ross and Dolly Parton. Give it up. Oh, well, I'm being told we can't afford that. So instead, coming up next on the Way Too Late analysis, PodCo.
And means to me today, even more so today than when it came out in 1995. Yes. It's one of those rare films that has caught on and just continually grow. Yeah, it's about relationship.
Recently, Disney released a documentary and did a whole campaign for the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie. One of my all-time favorite movies as a kid, bonus for an extremely goofy movie. The YouTube video released by Disney for this celebration featured the two main voice actors of Goofy and Max simulating the road trip they took in the movie. And that video currently has over 2 million views in the first 48 hours as of April 9th, 2025. This celebration gave way to a realization that nostalgia done right has monetary and engagement potential. While Disney is not always painted in a positive light for their business and ethics practices, they have mastered catering to childhood memories by creating an environment where kids and adults can fall right into their content and feel safe and comfortable. After all, look at the Disney adult phenomena. However, our topic is PodCo, a podcasting media company founded by a former Disney child star who tried to create that same general comfort and nostalgia vibe, but failed. Let's discuss what we can learn from the downfall of PodCo to see when cashing in on nostalgia goes wrong. We will break down the 3 main points from our previously posted video.
Every day on Disney Channel, Wade's Gadgets help kids perspective get ready for school.
A hairdryer? It only looks like a hairdryer.
Perspective reports every day at 5/4 Central.
So not the drama.
On Disney Channel.
PodCo was a media company centered around making podcasts about old TV shows, and the unique value proposition was that the featured shows on PodCo were hosted by the actors from those shows. PodCo lasted from 2022 through 2024 and has been inactive since September 2024, except for a couple of shows who have struck out on their own. PodCo's failure can be attributed to many things: lack of leadership, no media partnerships, the content direction and intention, not cycling their shows for newer nostalgic shows from a new generation, not using their acting talents to make original content, and also not having access to the original IP to take full advantage of the nostalgic content, which was due to no media partnerships. This can all be summed up as PodCo not being authentic to what they had. Despite this, Google Trends showed PodCo did boost searches to the relevant shows they featured, and some shows were able to land popular guests. Despite this, the company's biggest hit was the first episode of the Ned's Declassified podcast in early 2023, which led to their biggest setback, the controversy surrounding that podcast and the lack of comfort building to invite a willing audience in to have a good time. Instead, they made people realize that these actors and shows may not have been as great as we all remembered. Spoke about PodCo's lack of access to original IP, and it inspired a proposal: License Hub. Licensing is complicated, but there should be a system or app that allows people to earn money from intellectual property in an automated back-end fashion. This would involve creatives and companies creating minimum prices, funding goals, and profit share for use, allowing rights holders to license their content to the highest bidder or decline offers or license their content to as many people that pay the fee for use, all through software connected to major content platforms and sites like YouTube. A license hub would list all IP and use a request and proposal and automatic granting system to assess commitments like reboots or even extended clips in various platforms. The system would allow creators to share profits or purchase rights without bureaucratic delays or needing approvals from hard-to-find artists and executives. PodCo could have been a podcasting partner for Disney, and yes, there is precedence for that in the modern age of exporting content expertise to outside orgs that have a following and brand-friendly image for companies. Many media companies do companion podcasts for shows. Currently, best in class is Max and HBO, and they have a bunch of them. PodCo's lack of strategy for content longevity and a roadmap for continued success hindered them from seeking out major partnerships. Other companies will not make that mistake if they are wise. Also, there are many other podcast/media startups that have success even without a major media partner. By 2033, analysts predict the creator economy globally will be worth $530 billion, about the GDP of Thailand. The creative industry has been around for a while, containing recipe blogs, YouTube, Rumble, and software like Canva. Businesses like PodCo are among many who are, were, and will be swept up in chasing a small slice of that money, similar to myself and other creators and companies. It's hard to reject such a seemingly simple and lucrative lifestyle. Just create, despite the reality being the opposite of simple. This brings us to a future video where we will discuss Canva, among others, on the improvements many of these platforms need to better serve the demands of a growing creator economy. All right, that's good stuff. That was PodCo. And if you want a deeper dive on those topics, we have full-length topic videos on our channel. So coming up next is electric vehicle stocks and electric vehicles. So I will let myself take it away.
Some pardons here by the President of the United States today. The President has issued a pardon for Nikola founder Trevor Milton. You remember Milton was the former CEO of Nikola.
The company got destroyed. It went bankrupt, and so all the assets are up for sale right now. So it's definitely something I'm looking at right now, and I may consider picking up either some or those assets. It is a potential and a possibility, but I don't think that that's where I'm going to dedicate my next years of my life.
So many relevant things were happening as I began working on this video concept around December 2024, and it's April 2025 or beyond if you're watching or listening to this now, so that's cool to still have been relatively early in the crazy history we currently find ourselves in. Same for electric cars. Nobody would have guessed, the savior of the human race, electric battery power, is now being turned on by the very demographic it was meant to appease. Regardless, more specific things have happened in the electric car industry, and it has nothing to do with selling enough cars to justify their past stock prices, which leads us to a way too late analysis on the overhyped EV stocks from the 2010s. Our full-length deep dive video posted in March 2025, we covered 6 companies: Canoe Inc., Nikola Corporation, Faraday Future, Workhorse Group, Lordstown Motors / Neutrality Inc., and Lucid Motors. Of those companies, 5 listed themselves on the stock market via a SPAC merger. A SPAC merger is when a shell company formed by investors or owners acquires a private company seeking to go public, and that company, through the acquisition, is now listed on the market as part of this shell group, known as a Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or SPAC. This is a faster, easier, and cheaper way to liquidity from the market to help businesses that need cash injections without the formalities. Examples of SPACs range from Trump's Media and Technology Group to DraftKings. We aren't stock pickers or financial advisors here at Perspective Reports, but we noticed a trend that during the 2010s, many electric car companies seeking bigger ambitions and riches listed themselves to the market this way, and the 6 companies we analyzed averaged a loss of 94%, that's negative 94% of their value all time, after listing. 3 went bankrupt for now, and at one point just the 6 companies we analyzed had a market cap of over $20 billion. So what's in that type of merger trend? If you see a SPAC merger, expect high risk. The co-founders of Tesla were 2 engineers who designed a way to mass-produce electric car drivetrains. Bernard Say, a key VP and engineer at that early Tesla, was in charge of the energy division before co-founding Lucid Motors. Many technologies that power our lives today came from lesser-known individuals. The most common battery setup in electric cars is the skateboard platform. The first electric car was made in 1888, and the first hydrogen-powered vehicle was made in 1807. The oldest electric battery dates back to 250 BCE. Society is capable of implementing renewable energy, but the lack of infrastructure in the USA to support it materially, economically, and politically holds back EV growth. The 6 companies we analyzed in our EV stock video can be split into consumer and commercial focused. Canoe, Nikola, and Workhorse are commercial, while Lucid Motors, Faraday Future, and Lordstown Motors were consumer focused. The consumer level issues for electric car companies can be distilled into brand, funding, and infrastructure. Tesla as a benchmark had a uniquely advanced product, and as investors like Elon came in, they were able to streamline a vision, create a brand, and get hype around it. Then in 2010, they IPO'd on the stock market, which allowed them to access liquidity that was used to fund the supercharger network with public funding partnerships to speed things along. These other companies could not replicate this, as attempts range from Faraday trying to get influencers to build hype to Lucid Motors relying on the luxury experience messaging to attract that price point consumer, which, when factoring only 7% of the US, makes $250,000 annually. Targeting a saturated luxury market with your only selling point being electric does not equal huge production numbers. Lucid Motors in the combined years 2023 and 2024 only produced 17,000 cars while delivering 16,000 of them. That would mean over 2 years, only sales of $2 billion, when their operating cost for only 2024 was $3.7 billion. No bueno. It's easy to see why they are far from rivaling Tesla, who produced 1.7 million cars in 2024. The story repeats for all the analyzed companies, as costs and demand don't match without a brand to hype up those numbers. Commercial companies like Nikola, Workhorse, and Canoe Inc. simply did not invest in scaling production or were not able to afford to do so. There were so many interested companies and orgs from Walmart, Anheuser-Busch, and the USPS. But interest is not the reality of manufacturing and production, which has generally been on a decline in the USA for the past 50+ years. The most recent successful car startup in the USA is Tesla, and before that it is thought to be Chrysler or Jeep. It's hard to break into an established market in the USA without cash and sleepless nights to burn. 38% of new car purchases in China are electric versus only 10% of new cars in the USA. This is due to the recency in China's roadway systems and economic boom, allowing them to focus on newer technologies to build forward. In contrast, the U.S. highway system started in 1926 and was fully launched with the 1956 Federal Aid Highway Act, making the U.S. system the pinnacle of the post-World War II world, with gasoline being the main fuel. Multiple generations have been raised on this system and even built economies around it, so adoption in the US has a higher bar to clear, whereas in China they don't have this tradition to move past. So essentially, the climate for non-gas powered vehicles in the USA led to management at EV companies seeking to fill this need by inhabiting a negative feedback loop of chasing cash injections to make and sell their cars, that at some point making the cars took a back seat. The cost of electric cars has made it a privileged premium, and since America claims free market principles, at some point a company will fill the demand for affordable electric cars, but it will have to focus on a sustainable path to scale and maybe diversify outside of private vehicle ownership as the main product, at least at first. Regardless, we'll be waiting for the next American company that will create a proper, exciting, and worthwhile private transport experience that more of us can get behind. And that was episode 1 of the Perspective Report Show. Thanks for watching all, and a couple things before we sign off. 1, the website is the hub of all things perspective, but also a companion for the topics we discuss across our content. If you want to do further research, use it for projects or school, it's there for you and it's coming soon. Our website is up, the topic hub coming soon. The next Perspective Report Show episode is the Way Too Early analysis with topic deep dives and shorts to hold you over till then. If you wish to participate in future content, surveys, interviews, or just have tips, go to our website and send us a message on our Contact Connect page. And the answers to our quiz questions are Apple and Snow White. Bonus track, but really we're just going to end on this segment called Good Marketing Moments, where we just highlight great marketing and advertising that we see. First up is the new Apple commercial with Pedro Pascal for the AirPods. I think it's really fun. Last of Us Season 2 should be great. Shea Moisture sponsoring NCAA Women's Tournament content is a smart move. Honorable mention to DSG Dick's Sporting Goods for their I Show Speed, Kevin Durant, Tom Brady commercial. Nice influencer play. And this Gut Health Guys ad on YouTube, that was really put together. Love that. And big ups to Liquid Death for whatever their marketing team comes up with, because we like them. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. I finally did it. Oh, come on.
Perspective Reports.